In this video, I will show you how to use an SVG image exported from Charticulator in PowerPoint. This video is part of the Creating Area Graphs in Charticulator playlist. The introduction video in the playlist will give you an overview of the different videos in this playlist. Once you've exported an area graph SVG file from Charticulator, you can import it into PowerPoint and edit it. Note that SVG files can be imported into PowerPoint and Office 365, but may not be an option in other versions of PowerPoint. Also, the feature for ungrouping of text that you will see in this video is currently rolling out to the monthly insider release of Office and expected to be rolled out to full production versions of Office 365 in the near future. We'll start with a new slide in PowerPoint. I'm using the blank layout so we can focus on the image, but you can use any layout that makes sense for your slide. We'll start on the Insert ribbon and click on Insert and Pictures. I'll navigate to the folder where I've saved my SVG file, and I saved it from the download. I saved it to here, and I gave it a name that made sense. It's the Marketing Cam Area Graph. So I'm going to select that and click on Insert. What it will do is insert this image onto the slide in PowerPoint. Now, if you need to resize it, use the corner handle to resize it. One of the nice things about SVG images is that they can be resized without distorting the image. In my case, the image is the size that I want it to be, so I don't need to resize it, but always use the corner handle if you need to resize it. Now, the SVG file comes in as a graphic object. So in order to edit it, we need to convert it to a series of drawing objects. To do this, what we do is with the image already selected, which is the default, the Graphics Format ribbon, I'm going to click on the Group button and click on Ungroup. Now what happens is you'll see a dialog box warning you that the object is an image and needs to be converted to a Microsoft Office drawing object first. This is indeed what we want it to do. This only happens with certain types of images like SVG images because PowerPoint knows this image is actually a series of objects. So we'll click on Yes to go ahead and ungroup that. Now to see what objects we now have, we're going to open the Selection and Visibility pane. So on the Home ribbon, we're going to click on Select. We're going to click on Selection pane. And now we see what we have. You'll see the Selection pane on the right side here and the objects that are on this slide. So you'll notice that the graphic is actually a set of grouped objects that can be ungrouped so you can actually edit them or move them. Now you could also edit the objects without ungrouping them if you want to keep the image intact. Now I'm going to show you how to ungroup them so that you have more flexibility and you can do exactly what you want. So with the object selected, we're going to click on the Group button in the Shape Format ribbon. So the Shape Format ribbon, the Group button, and we're going to say Ungroup. You'll notice in the selection pane that the highest grouping level has been ungrouped, but the other grouping levels remain. To ungroup all the objects, we need to select each group and ungroup it. So you can do this by selecting the group on the slide and then ungrouping it. You can also select the group name in the selection pane and ungroup it. Now this is sometimes easier as you can see that the group and object names don't really indicate what the element of the area graph is that they're referring to. So I'm going to click away from the object so I haven't selected anything. Now I can click on the highest grouped item in the selection pane, which is everything here, all the areas and the text. And then I'll ungroup it like I did before. So I'll go to the Shape Format ribbon, Group, and Ungroup. So that's done the next level. So I can continue to do this with each group until I only have individual objects and no groups. So I'll click again away. I'll click on the next group on the Shape Format, Group, Ungroup, click away, select the next grouped item, Group, Ungroup. And what I have now, and you can see that in the selection pane, is I don't have any groups anymore. I only have individual objects. Now, once you have ungrouped it, if you've gone and chosen to ungroup everything, it is important not to resize any of the shapes, since doing so will make the area graph inaccurate. The only editing that should be done is to change the shape colors, text, or arrangement. So to change the shape colors, you can select any of the individual shapes. So I'll select this largest one and use the regular shape fill and shape outline colors on the shape format ribbon, shape fill and shape outline, to make it consistent with your organization's theme. So for example, if I wanted to make this one the first color, which I'll use this blue, and the next one, I'll use our next color, and keep using the organization's colors as they have defined them in the template so that I'm consistent with branding. So I've now created an area graph that has the colors used by my organization from the template. To edit the text, you can select the text box and then use the text attributes on the home ribbon to change the font size, color, and other attributes as necessary. So if I select this text box, I'll select the outline, go to the home ribbon, and now I can see, oh, gee, you know, that font's not big enough, so I'm going to make it bigger. So I want to make it 18, and I'll move that up to where I want it to be. Notice, with any text box, because it is just a regular text box, I can format it. I can also move it, and I can edit it. So if I wanted to add a comma in here, I can do that as well. So the text boxes can all be edited and changed as necessary. And I'll move this one and this one here again. Notice that because we've now broken them apart, we can move them to where we want. So before, when we imported the default from Charticulator, you noticed that the text was overlapping in other rectangles. But now in PowerPoint, we can move them because they're individual objects. And if you don't want the selection pane visible, you can always close that at this point. Now, one thing with these text boxes from Charticulator is that the default is to not have text wrapping turned on. So what that means is in this particular label, if I wanted to fit it into the yellow rectangle, it won't because the text wrapping is not turned on. So what I can do is I can right-click on the object and say Format Shape. It opens up the Format Shape dialog box. In the Size and Properties section, in the Text Box subsection, I can set Wrap Text in Shape. And now it will wrap it within the shape. So what happens is, as I resize this shape, you'll notice that it now does text wrapping. So it now fits in to the size that I want. You can also, if you want, you can select this button to resize the shape to fit the text, and then the size of the shape is always the size of the text. And that's sometimes useful as well. Now that we've resized it, we can decide, okay, we want it to be a little bigger, but we can't make it too big, otherwise it won't fit into that rectangle. So once you're done formatting the text, you can close that format task pane. So once you've formatted all the shapes and the text, you got them exactly the way you want, you can also use animation to build the graph as you explain it. So this uses the animation feature of PowerPoint, just like you would for other shapes. Now note, it does not use the graph animation features, since PowerPoint does not recognize this as a graph, only as a set of shapes and text boxes or objects. So what you can do is you can select a shape and the associated text and then use an animation effect from the animation ribbon to add that. So if I wanted to bring in each rectangle one at a time, like I demonstrated in the introduction video, I can select the text, Control-click to select the large rectangle on the animation ribbon, say Appear. And I'll do the same for each of the other shapes that I want to build one by one, starting from the largest to the smallest. This one is a little tight, so I'll select it by dragging a rectangle around it. So now I've added the animation to my slide. And what I can do in slideshow mode, I'll go into slideshow mode here for a sec. And we have our marketing campaign results. Click, I see the total responses. Click the new contacts, click the qualified leads, and then click finally the qualified opportunities. And that's the build sequence that I showed you in the introduction video. So what you now have is an accurate area graph that's created in Charticulator, so it is accurate, and it's imported and formatted in PowerPoint on a slide so that you can use it in your presentation. So that wraps up our playlist of how you create area graphs in Charticulator and use them in PowerPoint. Feel free to review any of the videos as you create area graphs to use in PowerPoint.
If you found this video helpful, there are 3 things you can do to help me out. First, click the like button below the video on YouTube. Second, leave a comment with any questions or feedback. And third, subscribe to my channel. Check out my websites and other videos with more tips and advice. Thanks again for watching.